Alright, in this video we're going to be talking about the ribs and the sternum. So first let's start talking about the ribs. The ribs are organized in pairs, and humans have 12 pairs of ribs, made up of both bone and cartilage. The ribs have a vertebral end, which is dorsally located, that connects to the vertebra, and there's also a sternal end. So the sternal end will connect to cartilage that ultimately connects to the sternum, and this is the ventral side. There is the costal groove, which is this groove in the rib that contains the neurovasculature of the ribs, which are the intercostal vein, artery, and nerve. And a way to remember the location from superior to inferior is going to be the mnemonic VAN. So if you take vein, artery, and nerve, the first letter, you can remember the vein is more superior to the artery, which is more superior to the nerve. Below each pair of ribs are the intercostal spaces. So here is the second pair of ribs. So this right here is going to be our left second rib. And just inferior to the left second rib is going to be the second intercostal space. And this is going to be incredibly important for things like auscultating heart sounds and just general anatomy. So here in this picture, we can appreciate that the whitish tannish part of the rib is going to be bone, and this reddish part is going to be cartilage. And so the transition point between bone and cartilage is known as the Costochondrial Junction. So costo meaning rib, chondro meaning cartilage. And this is where the ribs transition from bone to hyaline cartilage. And the hyaline cartilage ends up articulating with the end of the sternum. So this part right here is actually going to be the sternal end of the bony part of the rib. And then this is going to be the cartilage, this red right here. So now that we understand the ribs, let's talk about the sternum. So the sternum has many functions, including to provide protection of the lungs, heart, and other thoracic vessels from mechanical damage. There are several parts of the sternum, and so first let's talk about the most superior, which is going to be the manubrium, which is this sort of quadrangular part of the sternum, and several things attached to the manubrium of the sternum, such as the clavicle, which is your collarbone, as well as the cartilage of the first rib, and the body of the sternum is right here. There is a portion called the jugular notch, which is between the two clavicles, and it's also known as the suprasternal notch. There's also the clavicular notch right here. It's labeled in this picture right here, and this is the part of the manubrium where the clavicle attaches. There's also the angle right here, which is known as the sternal angle or the angle of Louis, which is just inferior to the manubrium. And this is where the second rib, the cartilage of the second rib, attaches. And this is an important landmark, not only for mediastinal structures, but also because you can palpate this area and easily find the second intercostal space, which is important whenever we're talking about the best places to listen for heart sounds. Inferior to the angle of Louis, or the sternal angle, we have the body of the sternum, and this is the part of the sternum that articulates with the 3rd through 7th ribs. Additionally, the muscle pectoralis major attaches to the body of the sternum. And there are also, so something important to note is that we have 12 pairs of ribs, but only the 1st through 7th pairs end up attaching to the sternum. So ribs 8 through 12 don't attach to the sternum, and that's why they're known as false ribs, because they don't actually attach to the sternum ventrally. So ribs 8 through 9 attach to the cartilage of the ribs that are superior, and 10 through 12 actually have no ventral attachment. The last part of the sternum we're going to be talking about is the xiphoid process, and this is going to be important for 2 reasons. The first is that it's the insertion site of the diaphragm, and the second is that it's going to be the area where the rectus abdominis attaches.